Hello students. Today we will discuss some of the basic important scheduling criteria because this is essential to understand the rest of the scheduling algorithms. So let me start with the components like turnaround time. Turnaround time is exactly means assume that a process P1 it reaches to the CPU, and once it reaches to the CPU we consider this particular point as arrival time, and CPU take its times and it will execute. So when during the process of executable we use another terms called burst times. So the time it takes to compute the arrival times to the point at which it is getting executables using a burst times. Let me put this one as completion times. So the difference between CT and ET is termed as turnaround times, or in short, a time when a process is first added to a group and it is ready to execute in a given time, or we can put it like this one, or when it finishes executing and exist. After this one it exit. So that is turnaround times. So we can put it a turn around like this. So that means starting here, ending here. So that difference. So this is known as turnaround time. The second components which I put across is response time. What exactly a response time means? As the word indicates that if somebody responds an instruction at the same instant, we say that the response time is very fast. Or in another word, a time from when a request is first made to the time when the response starts to receive. That means, suppose this is the CPU. You are taking a process P1. So you will see that when a process arrives to the CPU, and the CPU when it executes, if the process is executable by CPU in a given time without any delay, such as waiting or any interrupt situations, it is immediately responding, then that particular term is known as response times. Or in another words, I can put it like this: a time from when the request is first made to the time when the response starts receiving. So that is what we see. The request is made. Here I can put it as a request is made, and immediately it is responding. And at the receiving end, here it is responding. I believe that these two components is very clear. I have another components. Let me put it like throughput. What exactly the throughput means? Dear students, throughput is that, assume that this is a processor. Process, you can put it as where I am having a task T1, T2 up to Tn. Every task, when it is processed by CPU in a given period of times, T1, T2, T3 up to Tn, every process when it is executable by CPU. So that there we measure that what is the capacity, or what is the potential, or what is the process that CPU can able to execute in a given period of time, that is termed as throughput. Or in short, I can put it as a number of process. Here I can put it as a word as a number of process. Number of processes. Number of processes in a given system is executable in a given time t. The total amount of whatever processes the CPU is executable or executing, or the work the CPU is carrying out, that is known as throughput. And you have to understand that throughput, it depends on length of process. So that is known as throughputs. Okay. Now coming to the another point of discussions, let me put it like this one: turnaround times. Turnaround times we have discussed. So let's look across as a waiting time. Waiting time means it's the average period a process spends waiting. That means one process is coming P1, another process is coming P2. So if this takes 0 to 5 unit time, and let us take that this takes 0 to 4 unit time. So 0 to 5, after that the next process starts. So how much time the P2 need to wait until the P1 is complete? So if you try to see, this is having this much durations. So unless and until this T is not completed, the P2 cannot able to execute. So that is known as the unit times. Now let's go to the another point of discussions with respect to the Gantt chart and its scheduling. So when we see the previous discussions with respect to the Gantt chart, we have seen that in the case of a Gantt chart schedulings, we try to put the process one after another in a sequence manner. But most often the question is to raise, sir, what are the essential criteria that we should consider so that it will be easy for us to understand and solve the problem. So here I am just making some easy manners of understanding so that you will not have any problem while solving the problem. Let me put it in a scratch way. It's like that. Assume that this is one Gantt chart. And here you are having divisions like this, and a process is given. I am putting a process, say P1, P2, P3 and P4, and this process has a PID, I put it, arrival times and burst times. Let us take this simple 3 components. Now I am putting here as 0, 5, 1, 2, 2, 5, 3, 3. Here you should remember that before solving any problem, you try to understand its basic concept, how we are going to put the table into a Gantt chart, and why we have to put the table into a, I say that why and how. These two things, if you can able to understand clearly, then rest of the things becomes easy. If you try to see, when I say process P1, that means this is a process where I am having P1, P2, P3 and P4, and where it is going? It is going to the CPU, and CPU is, this is the AT, and from here the SIT is going to process and executor. So your BT is here. So BT is nothing but the computing time of the CPU, and once from the BT, when it comes out, it becomes CT. I can put it as like this easy. This is BT, and once it comes out, it is a CT. So let's see here like this. When a first process P1 arrives to the CPU, so this is the initial process the CPU take into account. So let's put this one like this one. So the first arrival time of the process P1 is 0. Now how much time the process need to compute with respect to the burst time is nothing but a 5 unit. So 5 unit means I can add plus 5. So it produces a ending by 5. That means the process terminate by executing after 5 unit of time. So I can put another one terminology, that is remaining time, RT. RT stands for remaining times. So let's make it in an easy manner. Is that if I am processing 5 units of times, what will happen? It will produce here 0. It will produce here 0. I am considering a simple case without any particular form of algorithms, 0. Now after this one, what I will do, that which is the next process coming? The next process is the process P2. So I will put P2 here. I will put P2 here. Now P2 will need how much times? 2. So I will put plus 2, so it becomes 7. So what will be here? Remaining times 0. Now let's take another case. The process P3 arrives. Now here one important components I want to share is that if you try to see, when the process P1 was executing with a burst time of 5, that means 5 unit, during that particular time, during the 5 unit time, if you see that this is 0 unit, 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit. If you see from horizontal way, this is the process going time. This process going time and the process arriving here, if you try to equate, then the first process is 0, next process is, this is P0, then this is P1, then this is P2, then this is P3, so not P0, P1, P2, P3, and finally it is P4. Okay, so if you see this one, and if you try to equate this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then you will find this one 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here let me put it as 0. I have a 0, let me put it, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, and if I am putting this one as 0, then this is 1, 2, 3. Now see, watch carefully. By that time, from 0 to 1, it has when this process was going at that time, the second process has arrived. When 0 to 2, when the